Day 2 of the Decentralized Intelligence Hackathon. Today we have Nico from Streamr Network over here with us to talk about real-time data and how to integrate that. They have a bounty up for the best use case of AI's integration with real-time data. So super excited for this. I know a lot of people are thinking along these lines. So without further ado, Nico, I'll hand it over to you. If you could just introduce yourself and then let's get started.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thanks, guys, for being here. I'm Nico. I do developer relations and business development for Streamr. I'm going to dive into what Streamr is and all of that in a minute. First of all, I want to kind of go into what the goal of this workshop is today. So what we want to do is kind of utilize Streamr Network's real-time data to fuel dynamic AI solutions, right? So if we have like this kind of data stream over here where we have a lot of data points like temperature, humidity, air quality index, and noise level. Like this is just a random example of weather data, right? And then we're going to want to use this stream or this real-time data stream and turn it into some sort of a weather report. In this case, it is OpenAI or like ChatGPT basically using that data and then creating an hourly weather report. This is just an example of kind of what I want to show you guys, what's possible with Streamr today. I'm going to look at some code. I'm going to give you an overview of Streamr in general, and then going to give you some examples of what you can build with Streamr for this hackathon. So very exciting stuff today. So basically, what is Streamr? Streamr is a decentralized P2P network. So we're a topic-based publish-subscribe system. If you haven't heard of publish-subscribe or topics and all of that, don't worry, we're going to look at that in a minute. And you can stream data to any Ethereum accounts in real time. So if you have an Ethereum address and you want to send some data to another Ethereum address, you can do that in a decentralized manner using Streamr. I hear a lot of chat messages. Is this are those questions already, or should I just continue?
No questions right now. Just people saying hi and one guy saying like PTSD.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so topic-based publish-subscribe system for the people that haven't heard of publish-subscribe, all of that pattern. So very simple example here. This in the middle here is supposed to be a stream. And you can see there's some weather stations and they're labeled as publishers, and there's an application labeled as subscriber, right? So if you want to send some data to the stream, you kind of publish this data to the stream, and then this application can subscribe to it. So this is just a kind of core concept of what's happening. The difference to like a request response pattern, for example, is let's say this is a chat app, right? Let's say these weather stations are not weather stations, they're just some people in your group chat and they're sending a hi message or like hello, whatever. You as the application, you don't want to send a request to a server and kind of ask the database, hey, are there any new chat messages all the time, right? You kind of just want to get them instant. So what you do, you subscribe to almost kind of subscribe to this database, subscribe to this table, just kind of think of it in that way. I think that's, if you haven't heard of it ever before, this is kind of the easiest way to understand it in 30 seconds. And then you kind of get those messages instant without like asking, hey, database, do we have any new messages? And then, getting a response, no, you haven't. It's more efficient. So think of it a bit of a table. You can see it here, for example, with a lot of entries coming in with temperature, like all of these JSON objects that you just saw here, they come in every second, and then your application or your server or whatever service you have in place can then subscribe to this table and consume it and do stuff with it. So for example, do something with AI and then maybe, showcase that in a weather dashboard or, generate a weather report and then publish that as like some sort of, I don't know, you can use the Twitter API and post it maybe on Twitter and have like a weather report for your city or whatever, right? There's endless opportunities what you can do with it. Much better use cases than I just said. So if we continue from here, some Streamr network properties, and I'm just going to bore you with this stuff for like another 2 or 3 minutes, and then we're going to look at code and interesting stuff. I just want to kind of get the basics covered, and then we can continue from there. So some basic properties of Streamr network. It's fast, it's real time, right? It is scalable, so you can like have thousands of subscribers, thousands of publishers in your network, so thousands of weather stations, thousands of chat app participants, like whatever you can think of. Permissionless, and it's censorship resistant. It's tamper proof, so you can't just like edit the data or anything like that. It is end-to-end encrypted, and it's completely free to use. So it's absolutely free. The only thing that you kind of have to pay for is the transaction fee when you create a new stream, when you create a new topic or a new table, whatever you want to kind of think of this. But it's like a fraction of a cent, and you only have to create the stream once, and then the stream exists, right? And then you can send the data for free. So 2 things I want to kind of say. The data transport itself is completely off-chain. So getting your data from A to B is off-chain. It's still decentralized because our network is completely decentralized. If you want to hear more about that, you can just reach out personally to me, and I'll tell you more about this. But in general, the network itself is decentralized, but it is off-chain, so it's not a blockchain. What is on-chain is the access control. So if you have Ethereum address A, is kind of your authentication token, right? So you kind of say, well, I'm nicob.eth, so I'm allowed to read from the stream. Because imagine you have a chat app or a group chat, you don't want anyone to just be able to read your stream. So you can kind of authenticate yourself with your Ethereum address and say, well, I signed this, so I'm allowed to read the stream. I signed this with my private key. And then, the other party can check, oh yeah, on chain, this is fine. This is on the stream registry, it's fine. This girl can actually read from our data or our stream, our group chat. So yeah, how that works is we have a stream registry on Polygon, and there's some read and write. It's just like a smart contract where like all of the streams are listed, and then you can see, okay, who has read access to that stream and who can write to that stream, right? So that's just what happens there, and that's on Polygon. Anyway, enough of that boring stuff. Let's build. So what we have is a Streamr client, which is our JavaScript library. It's on npm. It's to interface with the Streamr network, essentially. So what we have here is the Streamr client object that you create. You can't see my mouse. I think I remember this from the last workshop. I should have thought of that. But line 3, you can
define and quickly say we can't see your mouse.
Oh, you can? Okay, awesome. So you can see the object here, Streamr client. You define a private key that you use to authenticate. This can either be the private key, that you kind of export of your MetaMask, for example. This can be a private key that you generate with a library, or it can just be MetaMask itself. So you can, instead of exposing your private key, which you might not want to do on the client side, maybe on a web app, for example, you don't want to do that. You can use MetaMask to authenticate yourself as well. But like on a server, for example, you can just kind of paste the private key here, or use an environment variable. You can publish with this very simple code. All you do is you call streamr.publish, you put your domain, so whatever that is just an ID, kind of think of it as your database ID or your table ID. You send the data to it, and then people can subscribe to that very same ID as well. So you publish with an object that could be anything, right? It needs to be JSON, but it can be anything in JSON. So in this case, it's hello world, and then you subscribe with streamr.subscribe on another server, for example, or another phone or whatever you have, and with the same ID, a message, and then you can handle the incoming messages. So now let's dive into a little example, the example I showed you earlier. We have this stream here with the temperature, humidity, air quality index, and noise level, and we want to turn it into this weather report, and we want to have this to happen hourly, right? So maybe we get, like, every minute we get this one data object, with the temperature that says it for, I don't know, Barcelona, this temperature for Barcelona at this very minute. And we get it every single minute. And then we kind of aggregate that data together and then create a report every hour. Okay, so let's look at how that works. So the very first step is we want to publish the data to a stream, right? So we created a stream, let's say. It's just a random weather stream ID that we just created. Let's just call it weather stream ID. And then what we do is we generate a random data point. This is just some code that does this on a random basis. So it's not like real weather data right now. This is an example, right? And then in our example, we set a minute, but just to speed things up, it's just 1 second. So every second we set an interval where we publish a data point, right? This is all the server does. It generates a data point and then publishes it with the Streamr library to the stream, which is called weather stream ID, right? So if we look at this in code or in the console, I'm just going to run this real quick. And then you should see this because I shared my entire screen, right?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, awesome. And then you can see here, my data is getting published every second. So just some random temperature values right here. Okay, so again, we set this interval, we generate a data point, and then we publish it, right? This is all we do. This is server number 1, streaming to stream number 1, or stream ID right here. So the next step we want to do now is we want to subscribe to that stream, right? So we have this data coming in, and now we have an AI server maybe that wants to consume this data and that wants to do some calculations maybe based on it, or generate a weather report. So in this case, when we just go through this line by line, we have now the method streamer.subscribe. Right? Earlier we had streamer.publish, which created this stream right here, which is happening right now. It's coming here, and now we subscribe with another server, and we buffer the data, right? Because I told you earlier we want to generate an hourly report. So every minute we kind of store this data on our little on a little server in this data buffer right here. It's just an array where we push the data. It's very simple. And then we check, hey, is the buffer already at 60? Like, have we received 60 data points? Because this right here, that you can see message, this is a callback. So whenever we get a new object, so now the method is getting called again. So this is like running all the time, like every second essentially, until the buffer is length 60. And then we compute the average with the data buffer, which generates this right here: average temperature, average humidity, average HQI, and average noise, right? Because this is how our data object looks like: temperature, humidity, air quality. And we kind of generate an average out of this because we want an hourly report. And then we generate and publish the weather report. What we do here is just calling OpenAI, the API for ChatGPT, to then kind of take those weather averages, which we have here, with this prompt here. So you're a digital meteorologist for an online platform. Every hour we receive an average reading based on minute-by-minute data. You then craft a concise report on the weather conditions, try including a joke. That's it, right? So we generate this weather report with ChatGPT every hour on this AI server, and then we get the result from ChatGPT back. In the past hour, the temperature averaged around a comfy 24 degrees, making it a pleasant time to step outside. The humidity clocked in at approximately 64.88%, so it is not too muggy out there. The air quality index, HQI, averaged at 68.818, indicating decent air quality, and so on and so forth. Remember, folks, weather reports are like jokes. They can always use a little sunshine, right? So we've got the weather report. This is happening every hour. right? Because we wait for 60 entries to happen and then we generate the result. And then what we do is we publish this weather report to a second stream, right? So we had the one stream with all the objects of the little weather instances, and now we want the weather report stream. So then another application could maybe use this weather report stream to then publish it to Twitter, for example, or you could use it for a website where you just want to publish this, or maybe you want an application that kind of shows you the weather report for every hour, something like this. It's just an example. And as you can see, we're using now weather report ID and not, I think before it was weather stream ID. So it's a different table, a different stream, a different topic that we're sending the data to. And then, another service can subscribe to this. So let's run this as well, shall we? It's do here is npm run start. And now we are listening to the data coming in. And as you can see here, we've got like all these numbers. This is basically the counter of the data coming in, right? This is what I explained earlier. We're waiting until we've got 60, until we aggregate this data. Well, we are aggregating the data right now, and then until it is aggregated, we then compute the average out of it. So in a few seconds, it should say, processing 60 data points. So we've got the average temperature. What's happening right now is a call to ChatGPT asking for a weather report. We're getting the weather report, and the weather report is then getting published to a second stream. Let's look at this on our website here. You can see here, this is a stream. This is the mock weather stream that I showed you earlier. It's coming in all the time. And here, we just got the weather report, right? So now we get it like every single minute, basically. It should be every hour, I know, but in our example, just to debug it and just to see it, it's happening every minute. And yeah, this is the example. I kind of want to make a short break here for questions. Are there any questions, or should I continue?
Yes, there's a bunch of questions. Very efficient, by the way. I loved it. So, first question from Kenny. Where can we find a list of publishers that may already be publishing data so we can simply focus on building subscriber apps?
Awesome. Yeah, good question. So what we have is this. Let me open the Streamr network. We've got this, launched a hub. So if you go on our website, streamr.network, and then on the hub, you can see a bunch of projects that we already have live that are actually publishing open source data right now. So excellent question, by the way. So for example, we have the Binance market data here. Let's wait for a minute. And what cool. Yeah, it's really cool. So we have like a Bitcoin USD ticker, for example. We have the Bitcoin USD trades. So there's a bunch of AI use cases I think you can do here. Like, look at this. This is a lot of data though, 156 messages per second. So there's a lot of data coming in. So this is one use case. Again, I think that here it makes sense to kind of aggregate this data maybe a little bit, and then, whatever you want to do with it really. So yeah, there's a bunch of projects you can see. There is actually a weather stream here as well. So yeah.
Awesome. Amazing. So then Michael asked, I think this was the one with good timing. Michael literally asked you, is Streamr a blockchain in itself? And 2 seconds later, you were on that slide and talking about it. So that's pretty much answered already. Another question we have from Fren, who's asking, just out of curiosity, what is the off-chain component here that's taking the messages from the publishers to the subscribers?
Do you mean like the technology behind it? So we're using WebRTC in the under the hood to kind of get the data from A to B. I hope this answers the question, because like there's a lot of things happening underneath the hood.
That's fair. Is there somewhere perhaps they can go and read more about it if they want to dig into the tech behind it?
Yes, there is. I think the best way to really dig in is probably our white paper. which is also on the Streamr Network website. If you go into resources, first of all, on our blog article, that it's probably a bit easier to read. And then, of course, we've got the white paper, which is, on the one hand, we've got the light paper, which is great to read, and then the white paper, which is like more technical. So this is probably the best way of kind of knowing how things work under that. It's super interesting, so highly recommend.
Awesome. The Doodles asks, is it possible to have permissioned streams so only certain folks can publish to my stream ID?
Yes. This is actually by default. So if you create a stream, let's just do it real quick because it's fast. If you want to create a stream, and this is our stream ID by the way here. So this is just example stream. I hope I don't have one that's exactly that name already. And then you can have the access control right here. So in this case, it's a private stream, right? And then so only Ethereum accounts listed below can subscribe to the stream. By default, only the address that creates the stream can actually publish to the stream. So this is like, it's really, really strict here. If you want anyone to be able to subscribe, for example, it's a public stream, then you can do it like this. And if you want to handle some more permissions, let's say we want, I don't know, this address to be able to also publish, then you can say that, right? Like there's a lot of access control. This is all happening on chain.
Nice. Amazing. Just as a follow-up to that, I guess this is from me. In this example, I think you were on the Polygon network. Is there quote unquote a testnet equivalent for the hackers, or do they have to create streams on Polygon to do this?
Yeah, that's currently we don't have testnet support, but what we do offer is a faucet essentially where we send you a little bit of Matic to cover for the stream creation process, because this is really the only time where you actually have to spend some Matic to create the stream. It's very, very little Matic, but if you don't have it, I get this is a problem of course. So then we send you some. Just reach out to us on Discord and we'll send you some.
Makes sense. So all the bots on the call, you now know where to get free Matic. Just kidding. Okay. We have another question from friend saying, I'll just ask, any secret alpha you can share about the type of projects you're looking for? Any inspiration for what we should build?
Oh yeah. This is gonna come in the next few slides actually.
Okay, so that was the last question. So I guess we can continue.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. I think, okay, yeah, we have the Streamr Git. There's some, and there we go. So some ideas what you can build. So there are some ideas. For example, you could build a real-time chatbot where you create a publishing stream, which is, a chat, for example. You have a user interface where you type something in, and then another server subscribes to that stream and takes those inputs and processes them and responds, basically. So a real-time chatbot, essentially. That's one use case. Another one is sentiment analysis for social media. So if you have some social media posts or tweets, for example, for a brand or a keyword or something like that, this is kind of the publishing stream, and then the subscribing one would be an AI model that subscribes and conducts a sentiment analysis. And there's a use case underneath. So there's like this. The slides are, oh yeah, this is recorded, so you can look at it later. Predictive maintenance. So if you have some machine or equipment performance data, maybe this is something, maybe this is an API that already exists, and then you can kind of use that, turn it into a stream, and then subscribe, and then you can predict the machine might fail or require maintenance. Like you can be very creative with this. Health monitoring, I think, is a very cool one. So you have some heart rate or temperature data, and then you calculate it based on AI. So that's amazing, real-time monitoring of patients in critical care. So I think that's a really cool use case. Stock market analysis, great for this Binance use case, right? So I highly recommend to look at that one. It's very easy because the streams already exist, so that makes it much easier. Dynamic ad serving, here's some online user behavior, browsing patterns. That's cool. And yeah, those were some ideas. We're super open. Like if you have some better ideas or you want to work on something else, feel free to do so. These were just like some brainstorm ideas from me. So yeah, highly recommend to also think of your own. And happy to give you advice if this might be a good use case or bad use case. Like just feel free to ask in the Discord channel, or maybe if you want to have more private conversation, you can also reach out to me on at Nico Burkhardt. It's the same as my Twitter handle. Can write it in. How am I going to show you this? It's this, like this. To reach out to my Telegram, and then you can ask it in private if you're scared someone's going to steal your idea or something like that on our Discord channel. And yeah, here's some resources. Our Discord server, our example repository for this weather AI example. There's also a README in there, so I highly recommend to check that one out. And the documentation, of course. And that's me.
Perfect. That was so efficient. I absolutely loved it. People saying in chat, amazing ideas. This is cool. Okay, great. So you know where to reach him. You know where to get Freematic. You know where to do everything. I'll share once this goes on YouTube, which should happen shortly, perhaps most likely within the hour. I'll include a link to the slide deck as well, so you can come back to these
Awesome.
QR codes and come back to the ideas. If there's any other questions in chat, we have a couple more minutes, but if not, we can start wrapping up. And yeah, you know where to reach out for help. But yeah, I love this workshop. Actually, I didn't like those ideas you gave at the end. I think they're very insightful. I think there's a lot to be done here, and I'm actually very excited to see what people build with this.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see as well. I think this is probably one of the coolest hackathons with like this AI premise. I think it's going to be really cool.
Love it. I love it. Perfect. All right then. So I don't see any new messages coming in right now. So okay. So I'll say thank you, Nico. Thank you for hosting. Thank you for this amazing workshop, and thank you everybody for coming. And yeah, reach out on the Discord, reach out on the Streamr Discord, Learn Web3 Discord if you have any questions, as always. And yeah, we shall see you all soon.
Okay, awesome. Thank you guys. Thanks for having me, and happy hacking.
Happy hacking for sure. Cheers.